Finish up with some basketball. Sixers currently have the second best odds to win the East behind the Milwaukee Bucks. However, Philly forward James Ennis thinks that Philly is going to walk to the finals now that Kawhi is out west. You agree, Nick? Do you think the Sixers are legit contenders for the finals next season?
Well, I do not agree, but I do absolutely think they're legit contenders for the finals. What James Ennis said is ridiculous. Like, that's a foolish comment for a team. He's going to be their sixth man. I mean, he's bounced around the league a bit.
He did play well in the playoffs.
He did play well in the playoffs, but he is clearly, at best, he's the fifth best guy on that team. He's probably the sixth or seventh best guy on that team. We'll see what Zaire Smith and Josh Richardson do for them this year. But listen, Philly has the ability to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. I need to see the fit. I need to see if they can be as dominant defensively as I believe they have the personnel to be. They are going to start one of the longest teams one of the tallest teams we've ever seen start in an NBA season. When Josh Richardson's your smallest guy, when the median height of your starting lineup is 6'10", that is a long arm imposing
when you bring Al
defense.
Horford into that mix.
Absolutely right. Al Horford is one of the smartest players in the league, and even though his athleticism is not very good, he can knock down shots and is an excellent all-NBA caliber defender. But the X factor for Philly, and I'm sure Chris will expand on it, is of course going to be Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons comes back better, if Ben Simmons comes back to where he is not a liability at the end of games offensively and a liability in a playoff series, then Philly can go man for man with Milwaukee. Even if Giannis is better than Embiid, Embiid's close enough that the rest of the roster for Philly would outshine what Milwaukee has, but that assumes something that I did assume year 1 to year 2, but I got burnt by it, so I can't assume year 2 to year 3, which is that Ben Simmons expands his range a little bit. I was dead wrong after his rookie season, saying, of course he'll get better, of course he'll get in the gym. Even if he doesn't have a three-point shot, he'll have mid-range shot. He didn't. He was 2 of 25 last year outside of 16 feet. So they have a clear ceiling in Philadelphia unless Ben Simmons improves, no matter what James Ennis says. But because Kawhi left, they are, without a doubt, one of the 2 best teams in the conference.
Yeah, I don't like people, especially who don't have championship experience, putting out these types of sound bites when now the rest of the team, they got to be able to vouch for it.
They got to answer for it.
This is not about fit in Philly, even though they've made some changes. This is about 2 things. One, you mentioned as far as the fit with the players, but it's not about the fit. It's about fitness. Fitness and jump shot, all right? Joel Embiid and his fitness, is he ever going to get himself in the top shape that's not a detriment, that he's not missing games, missing time, because he doesn't have an NBA pro diet. He doesn't have someone cooking his food. He's still eating Taco Bell. I got friends that see Joel Embiid a lot of times in Philadelphia, and I'm not talking about at the basketball arena. And Joel Embiid and what he puts in his body, that has been part of the issue. Now, he's hired someone. He's working with someone here in New York. So that's the update on his body. He's doing something about that. What's the update on Ben Simmons' jump shot? Didn't you guys get it? Didn't you guys see the video?
No.
Oh, that is the update. It ain't no better. You know the reason why? The season's been over with a month, and he ain't put no video out there. There ain't no good video to put out there, Jenna. It's as simple. In the offseason, that's when you are able. To me, I used to break down my game with my coaches and say, what are the weakest routes that I run in the passing tree? Because this offseason, those routes, I will move up to be a priority. I won't even run the things that I'm very, very good at. And that's how the best players we've ever seen in any sport, that's how the good become great. That's how the greats become legends. And y'all let me know when y'all see some video of Ben Simmons, because I'm sick and tired of my buddy over here appropriating. Oh, yeah, he's going to get to the gym. Oh, yeah, he's going to get to the gym.
That was a year ago. I said I learned my lesson on it. Listen, I assumed he would do what most blue-chip young players do.
Tom Brady's outrun the 40-yard dash at 42. You know the reason why? Because he wants you to know, Jenna, I'm one of the best that's ever done it, and no young kid's going to take my spot. Antonio, you think we ain't got nothing better to do but to show him up there on the bouncing ball with the goggles?
True.
No, because that's what you're supposed to do.
All right, well, I know Ben Simmons is the obstacle right now for the Sixers, but wouldn't the other real X factor be Giannis? I mean, isn't Giannis going to be the real X factor for the Sixers?
Milwaukee right now gets to go into the season as the clear favorites in the East because not only they have the best record, but the team that knocked them out is now totally different. Kawhi Leonard put the claw on Giannis, and it changed that series. So usually we would say, hey, you got to beat the champs, but it's not that dissimilar to the Cavs were 4-time defending Eastern Conference champs last season. Did it seem like it? No, because LeBron left the team. They were a different team. Toronto won't be that bad, but they will be a different team. But Embiid is in the top of that very next tier of NBA stars. Like if Giannis is in that top 7 superstar tier, Embiid's at the very top of the next tier. Tobias Harris is a max player. I think he can go eye to eye with Chris Middleton. Al Horford can go eye to eye with Brook Lopez. Like their top of the roster matches up well. And so the question is, Ben Simmons, Eric Bledsoe. Bledsoe struggled in the playoffs, but was not the liability that Ben Simmons was, and we kind of know what we're getting from Bledsoe. If Ben Simmons improves, then James Ennis can be proven correct. They won't cakewalk, like that's a silly comment. If he doesn't, then they will be limited, especially against a team in the series as good defensively.
I'm willing to bet you a significant amount of money as far as Ben Simmons, his percentages outside of 10 feet, and the three-point line. Oh, that's like a foreign country. You can forget the three-point line. I mean, he'll never be able to shoot out there.
He made 2 shots outside of 16 feet all year, which seems impossible. But
so you know something? Yeah. Last year, he only made 2 more shots than me.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah, and only took 25 of them. It's unbelievable.
All right, moving on to things that we can infer from Instagram postings. Yesterday on the gram, Russell Westbrook liked a picture of himself wearing a Miami Heat jersey, even though he's still a member of the OKC Thunder. A new report says that the Heat willing to take on Russ's money and Russ's personality. All right, how does Russ need to adjust his game moving forward if he wants to be more effective?
Well, the thing about it, Russ has got to play with some veteran players. You can't put Russ on a young team. Also, you got to put Russ with some guys that can shoot the basketball. Typically, you would think if OKC is going to be at their absolute best, they got to be a top 10 defensive team. They got to be a team that plays with a lot of pace. Him and Steven Adams in the pick and roll, very, very effective. But Russ's ability to go off the bounce, get into the lane, break down the defense. But when you have only limited shooters, and if you look at the last several years, since KD's left, they have not put the type of shooters that would help Russ develop his game. Last year, you could see he deferred to Paul George. Paul George was playing spectacular, but who else have they put around him? I'm talking about knockdown shooters that Russ, once he gets into the lane, he's got viable options to dish the ball out compared to shooting a much more difficult contested shot at the rim.
Which is why Miami might feel like, but we will do a better job than OKC has done at surrounding him with talent. We will be able to present him with another all-star caliber player in Jimmy Butler who's already here. A player in Jimmy Butler who a lot of people thought Jimmy Butler and Paul George were nearly identical in like player rankings going into last season. Now, Paul George had a far better year than Jimmy Butler, and Paul George right now appears to be the better player than Jimmy Butler. We'll see next season with George coming off the 2 shoulder surgeries. But for Russ, it's really simple. It is last year, it wasn't just his free throw shooting went to hell. He's always been a bad three-point shooter. Last year was his worst three-point shooting year he's had since he's been a star, and he's now in very rough company. He's the 2nd worst high-volume three-point shooter in NBA history. Only Charles Barkley has taken 2,000-plus threes in the NBA with the worst percentage. Russ is now beneath guys like Jerry Stackhouse and Allen Iverson and guys that we thought of as chuckers from 3. He's below 31% from his career from 3, and he takes a bunch of them. Like last year, he was taking over 5 a game. We've seen him shoot 34% for a season. The year that he won the MVP, he was 85% from the line, over I think about 35% from 3. He's a guy that he has shown the ability to adjust the style in which he plays at least a little bit within a season. But last year didn't matter if he adjusted the style because he was bad shooting everywhere. The free throw line, the mid-range jump shot, which used to be his bread and butter, that little elbow jumper, that used to be his go-to shot. And his three-point shot was broken. If he's going to be successful, he has to be in year 12. This is going to be year 12 now. He has to be an adequate three-point shooter. There is no way for a guard in the NBA at his age moving forward to be a superstar in this league if you can't shoot the ball. And Russ last year could not shoot the ball, but he still shot the ball. So to me, yeah, there's the personality stuff. How will he fit in with a new team? Never been with a different organization. Spoelstra, Butler, all that stuff. But it really is, can Russell Westbrook shoot 34% from three? If he can still be a great player in this league. If he's at 28%, as he was a lot of last year, and he's still shooting a bunch of them, that's the percentage Draymond shot, but he's shooting twice as many. That's a huge problem for whatever team he'd be.
It's a lot to ask someone to say, okay, you got to go get back to your numbers that you were. So go to a new team, Isn't it more realistic that they're going to have to say, hey, you can't take this many shots? You're going to come here, but you're going to have to reduce the number of shots you take. And is he going to be able to make that adjustment?
No, I don't believe that's realistic. I don't believe there's a whole bunch of people going to tell Russ, you got to stop shooting the basketball. Last season, no one had the ball more than Russ. 90 times per game, he's got the ball. Only James Harden has the ball more amount of time. So for me, if you're not shooting it, he could be a better distributor of the basketball, cut down on his turnovers. He could be a better defender. So there's a lot of things that Miami and the switch there can be able to help them. Miami's one of the least effective teams in the pick and roll, even though they run about the same amount as OKC. Spoelstra and them have to be able to let him go and let him get his points early in the offense, get a pace that's a little bit faster. I believe Russ can still do that at a high level compared to the half-court offense. To me, that's one of the big conflicts that you have with Russ. He's far more effective in the open court than when they slow the ball down.
And he and the Oklahoma City Thunder, before the All-Star break, he was playing well. Paul George was playing well. We were talking about could they get all the way to the 2 seed in the West, and then fell apart once Paul George dealt with his shoulder injuries and Russ had a really bad stretch post-All-Star break. If he can get back to just stylistically the way he was pre-All-Star break and add a couple percentage points to his shot, still be one of the best 6 guards in basketball, but that's what they would be betting on if they trade for him in Miami.
All right, let's take a break there. Coming up, should the Lakers start LeBron at point guard? That's still ahead on First Things First.